Hello, everyone. You're listening to Oops Spoilers. This podcast is brought to you by Those Other Girls Media. We talk about movies, TV shows, and books, and we're going to give a TOG score. This is non-political and purely for entertainment. Okay. I think this episode is kind of highly requested. I am going to be reviewing the first 3 episodes of Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. This one's for the girlies. If you know me, you know how much I loved Pretty Little Liars growing up. But first, this episode is brought to you by Garneau. Of course, this is a girly-ish episode because it's a girly show. We have to have Garneau as a sponsor of this episode. So Garneau is a girls-only club. It exists because they believe women deserve more from their period products. Period care products should embrace women's innate femininity while empowering girls all over the world. Garneau tampons are made with 100% cotton core. They also have period cups, and each subscription will support feminine hygiene training and female entrepreneurship for Nepali women and girls who are vulnerable to trafficking. Ladies, let's support this business that supports our values. You can listen to Macy, the founder, episode 145, and you can hear why she started it. Some other things we talked about. We got into a little bit about our periods and things like that. If you head over to www.garnuu.com, you can use the code OtherGirls10 and you can get 10% off your purchase. Okay, let's get it started. So what we do is we go over the show that we watched, just kind of give a brief overview, and then we get into like thoughts and opinions. I'm going to give it a score. I'm going to think about entertainment value, like how naughty it is, and all those things, like, is the lighting, just those type of things. And then I'll give it a score, and you guys can tell me if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you're going to watch it, if you're not going to watch it, like, let me know. You can do it on the Those Other Girls Media Instagram page, or even the podcast page, or Oops Spoilers has an Instagram page. I don't really post that one as much, but it's going to be there, and I will post about it there. Okay, so first, I want to read to you the description. I guess this is from IMDb or Google. Okay, you guys ready? This is a description. 20 years ago, a series of tragic events almost ripped the blue-collar town of Millwood apart. Now, in the present day, a group of desperate teenage girls, a brand new set of little liars, find themselves tormented by an unknown assailant. And A has, like, quote things on that. Okay, interesting. Lots of thoughts. So, like I said at the top of the episode, I absolutely love Pretty Little Liars growing up. It came out the summer before my sophomore year of high school, and I was hooked. I had to sneak and watch it, which is not good. Do not do that. But I sneaked and watched it when I was younger because I technically wasn't allowed to watch it. Technically I wasn't allowed. My parents never said, like, do not watch this, but I knew that, like, if they were to catch me watching, I probably couldn't watch it. Anyway, love the show. As I got older, I guess I can see why. And as I got older, I think that it was fine because of the maturity level. Like, I don't think, like, Pretty Little Liars, I think they barely cursed. There wasn't that many sex, especially not compared to today. There weren't that many sex scenes. But I do understand that, like, for example, the teacher and student dynamic, inappropriate. My little high school mind was like, oh my goodness, how cute. But it's interesting because I've never been attracted to a teacher before, ever. Like, I've never found a teacher attractive that I've ever had. And if any of my teachers are listening, like, no offense, I just did not find any of you attractive. Well, I guess that's not offensive. That's just, like, a fact. I don't know. Anyway. So, like, I get, like, why my parents probably would not have wanted me to watch it. Anywho, it went on well into my college years. absolutely loved it. Like, everybody that knew me knew that, like, Tuesdays, don't talk to Mal. She is live tweeting Pretty Little Liars. I think I, like, even made a couple of friends, like, on Twitter. Well, we're not really friends now, but, like, at the time, we were like, oh my goodness, girl, did you see blah, blah, blah on Twitter because of Pretty Little Liars. In college, when, spoilers, they tried to trick us to believe that Toby was I was watching in college in my dorm, or in my friend's dorm, and when Toby turned around, everybody went, oh, and it was an all-female floor, and you could hear it in the hallway. Like, everybody was watching it, and I just, moments like that, I'm just like, oh, man, we really are all alike. But yeah, that's like how ingrained I was. Absolutely loved it. Aria, I think, was my favorite. Hannah, I really like the way Hannah dressed. And I could relate to Hannah-ish. I mean, I was, kind of still am, the fat girl in all my friend groups. But by the time she was on the show, she was not the fat girl. And I also think it's kind of funny. All they did to make her the fat girl was, like, put her in, like, ugly t-shirts. Like, okay. Anyway. So I kind of sort of related to that aspect. But, you know, I didn't have that pretty transformation that she had. So, like, I couldn't fully relate. But I'm like, oh, okay, I get that. Like, especially because, like, sometimes your friends, or not even your friends, people who you think are friends can kind of be a little cruel, and they can kind of say some stuff that's, like, really out of pocket. So, anywho, okay, so that's Pretty Little Liars. I was really for it when the first, so I guess the second A reveal. So the first A reveal was Mona. I'm pretty sure that's how it was in the book. At one point, I'm sure at this point we all know that, like, Allison had a twin, blah blah blah. So it was, which was, like, to me, that was new to my generation. I think on soap operas they used to do that all the time. But, like, for me, I never watched soap opera, so the twin thing would have been like, whoa, I don't know why Marlene King decided to leave that, but she did. That's probably why Homegirl has nothing, or no, she's a producer of the show, but she's not a director of the show at all, so. But yeah, so, anyway, I even saw, like, they had, like, scripts or something, like, it was released before the second A was revealed, that it was Cece, oh gosh, I can't remember the full thing. It was Cece, but not Cece as Cece. Not as Cece as Charles. It was just, like, Cece as just a regular Cece. And Melissa was who Sarah Harvey turned out to be, something like that. Like, I saw all the, like, the things. Well, they're saying it's the release, but I guess it could have just been a fan theory that just got really big. Anyway, I saw all that. So I was excited, and I remember when it was turned out to be Charles, I was like, ew, what? Like, this makes no sense whatsoever. There's been tons of people who've done YouTube videos that have gone back and been like, hey, like, this doesn't make sense. This is like X, Y, and Z. The biggest thing is when, you know, Cece being in the hospital and pretending to be Allison and all this other stuff. Anyway, hot mess. And then the Alex Drake, I did not like that, because what I like is when you have reveals like that, what makes it good and worth it is if it's someone, even if it was a minor character from, like, episode 1, then, like, that's exciting and interesting. But this Alex Drake character came out of absolutely nowhere. Like, there was no hints. I mean, I guess a tiny hint was, like, the horse not recognizing her. But, like, you know, if Alex Drake had been in, like, season 2, episode 4 or something like that, like, that would have been more interesting. That would have been more, we would have gotten more for our money, I guess you can say. So that was not, it wasn't bad. Like, the idea was good. Very confused, because I guess Charles, that's now Cece, is actually cousin, not sister, but Spencer's older sister. It's a hot mess. I need to rewatch it. But anyway, so that was, like, the first reiteration. So then Marlene King had 2 spinoffs. Ravenswood saw 1 episode. I don't even think I saw one episode. I think I saw like part of one episode, thought bleh, boring, moved on with my life. And then the other show that included Allison and Mona, and I actually didn't mind it. Like, it wasn't like super like, oh my god, I'm on the, you know, edge of my seat. This is so good. It wasn't like that at all, but it wasn't terrible. I'm kind of surprised they didn't at least get a second season. The girl who plays gosh, who's she? The daughter of the old evil lady from Snow White on Descendants. So if you could follow that line of conversation, you're pretty amazing. But that's the girl who plays who was like one of the main characters, and I really, really like her. I really like her. And then what was weird to me was they made such a big deal about Allison and Emily and them having kids, but then Allison and Emily are like divorced. I don't know. It was just weird. Like, I don't know. It was strange. But that was a show. Now they have Pretty Little Liars Original Sin. A couple of things. The director of this is the same director of Riverdale and Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like the new evil dark one, which I did not watch, did not like, do not support personally. That's your thing. That's your thing. That's not my thing. Riverdale, I have tried to keep up. The new Riverdale season is on Netflix. I will be watching that and I will be giving that review. I hear it is darker and weirder. I started it and like the first couple of episodes, sorry you guys, I haven't even gotten into the review yet. Almost done, like the prelude. The first couple of episodes of that Riverdale was just really weird. And then I don't know, like to watch it on the CW, you have to make, it's always only the last 5 episodes. So if I couldn't get to my TV to watch the CW, because not even on my laptop, I have to watch it on my family TV. If I couldn't get to that TV within 5 weeks, I don't know, it was just too much. So I can just quickly, hopefully one day, just binge those and do a review for you guys. Once again, really weird show. So anyway, that's just some background on the director. So first thing I want to say, is it really, I'm not quite sure why it's considered Pretty Little Liars. Like, or in the sense of like, I mean, I guess I understand Pretty Little Liars because they pick very pretty girls. And even the moms that we'll get into, when they were younger, they were very pretty as well. So I guess I get it from that standpoint, but I think calling it Pretty Little Liars is really just a marketing thing because I don't know, realistically, I don't know if any of us would have been interested in it if it wasn't for that. So without further ado, here we go. I'm about to get really into the episode, like break down a lot of it, give my opinions and things like that. So, oops, spoilers warning. If you have not seen this show, if you have not seen the 3 episodes and you do not want to see any spoilers, then I would just go ahead and save this and listen to it later. But if you just want to know what happens, then keep listening. Or if you just want someone to hear someone's opinion. All right, here we go. So to start off with the theme song, they made it a lot slower. Even though it's kind of already slow, because got a secret, can you keep it? Dun 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 dun. And now it's more of like dun, 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 like a lot slower. And during the sequence, like, so in the show it was Allison in the coffin and then Arya going shh, but it's not like center in the middle, it's like off to the side, like shh. Okay, so we all know that. Well, in this theme song, instead, it's this person who we're assuming is A. Like, at one point, they're, like, cutting a picture. They're, like, sewing it. I guess it's supposed to be, like, a mask made of flesh. Like, really creepy, weird. So it's, like, creepy and weird. I don't like the theme, like, sequence. No, it makes me uncomfortable. Oh, also, too, I was thinking about, like, this show. I don't like horror. Like, that's just not my thing. But I'm like, why do I find this interesting? Why, like, even some seasons, not all seasons, some seasons of American Horror Story, I actually don't mind. I'm like, why? Well, the difference is horror versus thriller. I enjoy thrillers. I like to know, like, you know, something with a serial killer, find very interesting. You start adding spirits, something like that, not interested, not gonna watch, ew, boo, no, not me. So I'm like, what is it? So I thought about the difference between horror and a thriller is horror does have that element of the supernatural. It does have that element of something that you do not know. Thriller has the element of something that you do not know, but it's not supernatural. It's more of like a human. For example, the serial killer, that's a human. A human's doing that. Something with like that, something with a Ouija board, that's a spirit, that's supernatural. I don't like that type of stuff. So I definitely would put this in the category of a thriller that has, yeah, I would say this is a thriller. I wouldn't say that this is horror. So far, there's not like a ghost or like, there's not a spirit. There was an incident with a Ouija board, and I'll talk to that. Oh, you know what, though? I don't think that's in the first 2 episodes. But we'll talk about that another time. But, yeah. So, spoilers. Sorry about that. But anyway, and you can just, if you don't deal with that, fast forward. I fast forward those type of things. I don't even watch that first episode of Charmed. I don't watch it. Not for me. Not something I want to be a part of. Okay. So, that's the theme song. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. Don't really like it that much. So it starts off with a girl. She's at a party. It's a Halloween party, and they're all dressed up, but she has been crying and she looks like she's been hurt. And she's like, help me. And because it's a Halloween party, everybody's dressed up. So it appears that most people, except for 5 girls, it appears that most people are like, think that she's like, it's part of her costume. So they're kind of ignoring her or whatever. So these 5 girls, she comes to these 5 girls, and they're like, we're not talking to her. Like, you know, the girls go back to dancing and everything. Long story short, this girl goes up on the balcony thing and like jumps. And then everybody like flees. And they fast forward 20 years. A girl is pregnant and she's with her mom. Long story short, that happens with that. We find out that the mom is one of the girls from the first scene as an adult. So 20 years have passed. So they're probably about 15. Now 15 plus 20, they're probably like 35. Because their daughters are 15 now. So they're probably 35. Okay. Also, too, I meant to say this. I really, really liked everybody's outfits in the first scene. Well, the girls, like the main 5 girls, and all the girls that they got to play the younger version of the moms, gorgeous. Like 10 out of 10s. Like, they're so pretty. And the girls, the main characters, are pretty too. I just think, I don't know why. Like, I just feel like the girls just seem so much, I don't know, they're just very pretty. And I was looking at them and I was thinking, I was like, have actors gotten younger? So like, have they started trying to have, 15-year-olds playing 15-year-olds, or have they always looked young and now that I'm older, they look young, but because I was younger, they looked older than me? I'm trying to figure that out, but then I looked up one of the girls' age, and she's 26, and she looks young to me. She looks like, definitely not 15, but I would have said like 20, or maybe even 18. Like, if you had said she was 18, I would have been like, oh, I can see that. So that, I just think that's interesting, because, like, let's be honest, Shay Mitchell was not a 15-year-old. Or how old was she? 17. Shay Mitchell was not 17. Like, there's no way you could convince us that. Don't get me wrong. Like, Shay Mitchell looks fabulous. She looks fabulous then. She looks fabulous now. But she definitely was not looking 17 on that show. So I'm just curious, because the girls definitely they looked young. They look really young. So I wonder, or if, now that I'm thinking about, like, now with, like, time and, I guess, like, time and, like, learning more about movies and things like that, I wonder if they're able to make them look younger. Anyway, fast forward to one of the girls is the mom, with one of the girls who's going to be one of the little liars of the show. she receives a letter, and with the letter A in red in her name. So her name is Davy, and the A in Davy is in red. She receives this flyer, and then she proceeds to, trigger warning, slit her wrist in a bathtub. So that's how it starts. Someone jumps off and commits suicide, and another person slits their wrist in a bathtub committing suicide. So then there's another time jump for a month. And personally, I do not like time jump, like that many time jumps within the first 5 minutes. But I mean, I guess I get it to like move the plot along and to, because I guess it's better than just like having unnecessary plot and dialogue when you really just need to move it along. So then we fast forward, and the pregnant girl is Bailey. I think her name is Bailey Madison. She has been in so many things, and she always plays the annoying character. And low-key, she's kind of annoying. I'm trying really hard to like her as a character, but she only plays annoying character. Like, everything she's ever been in that I've seen her in, I have hated her character. She's really good at it. Like, a fantastic actress. I hope she's not annoying in real life, but I don't know, because every single character she plays is incredibly annoying. I can write an essay on this. Anyway, she's the main character. She's the one that's pregnant. And she goes to live with Tabitha, whose mother was friends with her mother, who was also part of the 5 at the beginning that did not help their friend. And then we fast forward. Okay, wait, let me just see some of my notes. I took notes, guys. Okay, so yes, so I mentioned that Imogen she always was annoying characters. And then also too, Imogen being pregnant is a little like, what is the purpose of this? But I'm pretty sure it's a Chekhov's gun scenario. I was about to say situation. That's not a word. In that, I don't know if you guys know about this, if there is a gun in a movie, then it has to be used. I mean, it doesn't have to. It's just like a plot device type thing that people use when they're creating movies. So I'm guessing her being pregnant is going to be relevant probably at the season finale. What I'm guessing is at the season finale, she's probably going to have the baby, and the baby is going to be important and relevant to the show. And I don't mean like, relevant to the show, so now she's taking care of, but I mean like maybe the baby's father is I don't know, something like important like that. I like, there's no reason for her to be pregnant, so that means that it is significant that she's pregnant. And also too, like throughout all of the times, like all of the A's are red. So I guess just reminding you, like, hey, you're watching Pretty Little Liars. It's A. Pretty Little Liars. It's A. And it's like, okay, we get it. It's A. Like, all right. And then like the scene. Okay, so I want to say horror because that's just how people talk, but it's really just thriller stuff. Some of the shots are really good imagery. They're really good. It's really well shot. I will give them that. Like, it's a really well shot show. A lot of the scenes, I mean, so one of the girls is actually obsessed with horror movies specifically, and thrillers. Like, she throws in some movies that I'm like, okay, for example, like Get Out. Get Out is a thriller. It's not a horror movie. Really good movie. I actually really liked Get Out. I didn't see Us because it looked too scary, but I did see reviews of it, and it might not have been too scary for me, but I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it in the future. But she mentions those movies. Anyway, there's like a scene where, so not the daughter, but the daughter's ex-friend, she's there when they see that the mother has slit her wrist, and she runs out and is like screaming, and it's just like a very much like quote unquote horror movie like esque trope type thing. And yeah, so that's on there. Oh my goodness. And then how they kind of talk is a little bit like Gen Z, like Twitter thread throughout all of so I've seen up to episode 5. The day I'm recording this, episode 6 is out, but I'm only going to go over the first 3 episodes. Because I'm going to try to. I might bring up some stuff, and I apologize if I do, like the Ouija board thing, but hopefully that won't happen again. But they speak like it's a Gen Z Twitter thread, some of it. So that's a little like, that's a ding. Like, okay, what? And then let's see here. Also too, there's a lot of diversity, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But for example, like in Rosewood, I feel like there really wasn't. That's the other thing too. So, okay, so we've talked about two of the liars so far. So then another liar is this girl, Mouse. So she's a little odd. I still can't really put my finger on her. She's a little weird. That's all. I don't know how else to say. She's just a little weird. And her mother was one of the girls who ignored their friend. And then there is, oh man, why can't I remember her name? There's another girl, Noah. Noah has an ankle monitor because she was caught with marijuana, so she had to go to juvenile detention, and she has to do, like a pee test, so they, like, highlight that. And then the other girl, whose name escapes me for whatever reason, she's gorgeous, Farron. And then Farron is a ballerina. So one of the things I want to say is I'm very confused. In the description, it says blue collar, okay? But, like, why do they have a ballet class in the school? Is that, like, a normal thing up north? I'm guessing, maybe? Like, is that, like, a up north thing? Like, you guys let me know that. I have nothing against that, but, like, to me, that's pretty bougie to have a ballet class in your school. Farron's the ballerina. Like, that's her thing. She's going to play the Black Swan in, I think they're doing Swan Lake. I'm guessing they're doing Swan Lake. She's going to play the Black Swan. Anyway, and then there's a bunch of random guys. And I just want to say this. I'm sorry. A lot of the guys look alike. I don't know. Like, even I'm looking at this, at the Wikipedia, and not Wikipedia, at the Google, like, cache, you know how they have those pictures? A lot of the guys look alike. I got a little bit confused here and there. So just a heads up. When you watch the show, or if you watch the show, a lot of the guys really do just look alike. So, okay, so we're introduced to all the characters and, like, all their idiosyncrasies within the first couple of episodes. Within the first couple of minutes, really. I'll say the first half of the first episode, we kind of get to know everybody, what their deal kind of is, but there's still a little bit of a mystery about it. Let's see. Oh, also, too, another thing that I noted was Imogen's mom, her younger version, she sounds and looks just like Allison De Laurentiis. So what I'm guessing is she was probably the Allison of the group. This is what I'm guessing. She was the Allison of the group, and then the girl who jumped from the rafters was the Mona of their school. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know. And I guess maybe this is just a different way that story plays out, but we'll see. Because also, too, I want to point out, and you see this within the first 3 episodes, the parents are going to play an integral role. Like, their story is just as important, it seems, their story is just as important to the plot as the new Little Liars story is as well. Let's see. Let me think what else. Okay, so we're introduced to the 5 girls, but we're also very introduced to 2 twins, Karen and Kelly, which, okay, Pretty Little Liars, we know twins is a thing. Twins is a running theme. In the books, Allison had a twin, and we also know that at the end of the old Pretty Little Liars series, Spencer had a twin. So twins are a thing, should not be surprised, should not be, twins. Karen and Kelly. Karen is really mean, and Karen used to be friends with Imogen, who was the pregnant girl. They used to be best friends until Kelly told Karen that Imogen was making out with Karen's boyfriend. So then they stopped being friends, and then we don't really know what happens between them. At some point, Imogen gets pregnant. All we know is that it's a lifeguard. They mentioned that. We don't know who. We don't know what. We don't know where. Maybe the beach. We don't know why. We just know lifeguard. And in between that time, between Karen and Imogen breaking up their friendship, Imogen gets pregnant. So we meet Karen and Kelly, and they're very interesting sister dynamic. Karen is more outgoing. She's mean. She is the mean girl. She is the Allison. She's the Allison, which I will say what happens. I'll explain what happens in a second, which does make it an interesting twist. And it also kind of makes me wonder why they went this direction, but I don't know. We'll see. So Karen is really mean, and she's running for this prom homecoming queen type deal. Kelly is kind of in the background. She was always second, and I think this is important. This was an important thing that they added for whatever reason, that Kelly was always in the background of Karen. She was there, but you kind of, and honestly, I didn't really realize they were twins until like halfway through the first episode. Maybe like there's like a scene where they're at dinner and it's two of them. Oh wait, they're twins, because Karen did all the talking. Karen was which I think is done on purpose. So this is what happens. Karen, here we go, comes to school. So Karen and Imogen are not friends. Karen whispers, "Nobody wants you here," to Imogen. And then Karen even goes as far as to telling the school principal that she's uncomfortable that Imogen is pregnant and she should not be at the school. So she goes, does all that. And then Imogen says, "You know what? I'm going to run against you for homecoming queen." You know, the cool trope that they do, that everybody does. So they do that, right? Okay. That happens. They come to school the next day, and on all of Karen's flyers, someone's drawn on them. They've like destroyed them, you know, a la, I'm trying to think of who did I can't think of a movie right now, but you know, mess up the flyers. So it appears as if Imogen and Tabitha, who are friends and they're living together, it seems that Imogen and Tabitha destroyed Karen's Karen's posters, right? That's one thing. So Imogen and Tabitha, like the sound from Mean Girls. Okay. Mouse rejected Karen, said she was not going to vote for her, and Karen calls her rodent. Karen's really mean to Mouse. Well, Karen opens her book bag and there's a dead rat. Disgusting, absolutely gross. So, and she says Mouse did it. So Mouse is okay. So then Noah, who I'm looking at, she spells it Noa, which I think is just spell it Noah. Anyway, so Noah, you know, she has the ankle monitor. She is getting drug tested. Her drug test comes back that she's been smoking the marijuana. So, Noah. All right, last one. This to me is heinous and like crazy. The last one is Karen puts on her ballet. She's like, "Oh no, my foot, oh, it hurts." So her ballet teacher comes over and pulls it, like, "What's going on?" Pulls her shoe off. There was a razor blade on her shoe, like in between her toes. It was like, ugh, like our foot was bleeding. So someone put razor blades in her shoes and they think it's fair. And okay, so all of the girls get detention because Karen is saying that they did all this. Well, Farron, Noah, and Mouse all said that they were not going to vote for her. Tabitha and Imogen are doing their best to run Imogen against her. So they're like, okay, she's mad at all of us, blah, blah, blah. They're in, they aren't all really friends. They know each other, but not really like friends. And they're in detention together. Remind you of anybody? Breakfast Club. And they then, you know, this is the moment they become best friends. So like, okay, what can we do? What should we do? We got to get back at her. And Imogen's mad. Imogen's like, we got to do something. And then like she looks at the camera and goes, "We can murder her," or something like that. And it's like, okay, that's the end of episode 1. And it's like, okay, you're gonna murder her. All right. They don't even bring up murdering again. The next episode, like that, to me, that felt kind of lazy. And like, that would have been good if it was back in the day when you would watch a show and then the next day you would see another show. Or I'm sorry, the next week you would watch part 2, because then you'd be mad, like, are they gonna, but then, you know, literally it's just, what? Click next episode. And the next episode, they don't even revisit the idea of murdering her. They just decide to show a unflattering video of her in a compromising position that Imogen happens to have. And then she's like, I don't know if we should, and she's feeling bad, and they're like, no, we should do it. She's ruined our lives. Like, let's do it. So they end up doing it. And I will say, what I don't like, and I don't know if it's the writing, I don't know, is like Imogen wanted to murder her, and then for episode 2 and episode 3, she's feeling so bad. She wants to apologize, this and that. And it's like, okay, but you literally wanted to murder her like an hour and 45 minutes ago, you know? So it was just kind of like, okay. And then, okay, so then they did that. So they decided to show this movie. So the movie is actually of the night where Kelly told Karen that Imogen was kissing her boyfriend. And she ends up getting very, very drunk. Oh, they're all in high school, by the way. And she ends up getting very, very drunk. Oh my goodness. Okay, after I tell this, I just remembered a part that's like super crazy that's in the first episode that I have to go back to. But anyway, she ends up being very, very drunk, and it's this guy who's recording her like, hey, show me. Basically, he's trying to get her to take her top off, and she does take her top off. She doesn't take her top off. But it's very suggestive, and she's acting real crazy, like drunk, blah, blah, blah. Imogen actually comes in and stops him and takes the guy's phone. And she kept the phone, and she kept the video on the phone. So that's just an interesting tidbit. One thing I have to say about episode 1, there is a scene, and like, if you're under 18, like, fast forward this part, where the sheriff, who is Karen and Kelly's father, who is the probation officer for Noah. So Noah sees this person. I cannot believe I have not even talked about that person yet. I'll talk about the person last. Noah sees a person and goes to tell the sheriff. Y'all, she goes up to the window, looks over at the sheriff. If you're under 18, fast forward, the sheriff is receiving a sexual favor from a male. So his head pops up, and like, I'm telling you, the first time I saw it, because like, they also have like this, it was out of nowhere. It was so unnecessary. It was out of nowhere. So that's a ding against it. It was out of nowhere. I literally went, oh! Like, it was like audible. Like, my mom asked if I was okay. And I wanted to be like, I'm not well. It was so weird. And like, I honestly, at that point, I was like, okay, it's going to be this type of show, because that's what Euphoria, like, that's why I could not finish Euphoria. I only saw episode 1 and part of episode 2 because I just couldn't do it. Like, they had that type of, so I was like, if it's going to be like that, then I'm not going to watch it. But what's interesting is, so far, that's been the only like outlandish, like, sexual, like, thing. And I will say, you know, another difference is Euphoria, they would have like panned down and like showed you everything, but all it did, it was very suggestive, but it was still like, ooh, okay, did not see that coming, type thing. But I guess, you know, they didn't show anything. I hate that that's like the standard now, that they didn't show anything. But the reason why, like, I feel like I should not have been there, because it's like, oh, okay. But I guess the point is, like, this is a married man. He's supposed to be super masculine. And now this is what is happening. So it just goes to it's a flaw in his character. And it's shown as something that's a bad thing. It's a negative. So I guess you can say that is why it's in there. And I guess, you know, in retrospect, it is, it was not as bad as it felt like. It's just, unfortunately, those are how, like, because I was talking to somebody about it, and I was like, well, I don't understand, like, she could have walked on him, like, stealing something, and the person was like, yeah, but, like, stealing something from a note, like, it doesn't have the same impact. You don't recognize that this person is doing a really, really bad thing, and they're just stealing from, like, a random, it's not as shocking for you. Like, the reaction I had was the reaction they wanted you to have, and, like, my, like, disdain for this man is how I'm supposed to feel for that character. So, okay. So fast forwarding back to where I was, they decide that they're going to show this movie. They show the movie at a film thing where everybody from their school sees, and she's super embarrassed, and it's bad. Like, it's not a flattering thing, and like all of the school sees it, so it's not a positive experience. And it's almost like the idea of like revenge porn, which I think is interesting that's because, just thinking back, like that's interesting that it's becoming like not that it's becoming a thing, but like that is inserted, because when we think about when we were younger, that wasn't even a concept in a movie. But once again, this is added in to show like how terrible it is to do that to somebody. Well, Imogen is feeling awful. She's like, oh guys, we shouldn't have done this, blah, 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 blah. Okay. But, and I'll tell you, the thing that just gets me is like, she goes, well, murder her. Looks directly in the camera. There's like a sly smile. But then like, what? Fast forward an hour and a half into a new episode. She's like, oh guys, we just did the wrong thing. Like, I feel so awful. I feel terrible. And it's, I don't know, like that was just like, it felt like against her character. Anyway, we fast forward. So she's embarrassed. She doesn't want to go to school. So this is where things start to get kind of dicey. Kelly and Karen are identical twins. And they look and sound exactly like, I'm pretty sure they're played by the same girl. Let me just look real quick. I'm 90% sure they're doing Parent Trap. Let's see here. Let me say. Karen. Let me see. Oh, the actress name is, y'all, the actress name is Mallory, and her birthday is November 26th. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so let's see here. She plays, yeah, it's Karen / Kelly. Okay, so it's played by the same girl, so they look exactly alike. I mean, because it's the same girl. So this is where it starts to get really, and I'll have to continue watching to see like there's the differences between the two, because but you know, we'll see. So this is where it starts to get dicey. Kelly goes to the school pretending to be Karen, admitting that she messed up her own posters for prom queen. It's prom, homecoming, whatever the dance is. Snowball, whatever they call it. For whatever the dance is, she messed up those posters. She admits that. And she says she wants to be taken out of the running, so that makes Imogen queen. So Imogen finds out. She's like, oh my god, I can't believe this. And he called me just like my mother. My mother would have never done what I did. I think I'm just annoyed with like 10 seconds ago you wanted to murder her. And I know I've probably said this 3 times in this episode already, but I thought you wanted to murder her, and now you don't? But anyway, like, I just feel so terrible. One of the girls is like, I don't. The girl who got accused of putting the razor blade, and you know what? Honestly, I think it was wrong, but if I were in her shoes, I don't know how bad I'd feel if she accused, like, that's assault. She should go, like, if someone did that to my child, we'd all be in jail for something. All of us. All 4 of us. Her mom, me, my kid, and all 3 of us. Her mom, me, and her kid. Everybody will be in jail. My kid would not be in jail, obviously, because my kid would. Anyway. So, yes, okay. So then Kelly comes home. We don't know that it's not Karen. We think that it's Karen. I'm sorry. Yes, we don't know that it's not Karen that confessed. We think that it's Karen. Kelly comes home as Karen, and that's when we find out that it's actually Kelly and not Karen. They come up with a plan together to dump like red paint on Imogen while she's accepting that award. Okay. That's what's going on over there. They're coming up with a plan. Karen's feeling terrible. She's like, oh, people hate me because people are saying all these terrible things about her. Because she's mean. She's a bully. She's Allison. She's Allison before she went missing. So she's mean. She's a bully. Sorry. Fast forward. That's what's going on with Kelly and Karen. The 5 girls, the Little Liars, they are like, oh, Imogen, we'll all go to prom together. One of the girls like, well, I can't really go together with you because my boyfriend's going, but sure. And then another girl's like, well, this is guy in ballet I like, which, I'm sorry, that's really funny. But I do know there can be straight guys that do ballet. It's just funny because, like, that's never seen on TV. But at my ballet studio, there was a man who was one of the most masculine men I have ever met in my entire life. He was straight. He had kids, family, everything. He always played like the male roles in all of the ballets we did. Anyway, it's just funny because that's never the case on TV. So the mouse weirdo girl, do not like her. She is the season 1 and 2 Emily. I'm sorry, season 2 and 3 Emily. Season 2 and 3 Emily was weak. Oh my gosh, so weak. That's Mouse. So Mouse. It's like, I've never been to a dance before. And then I don't remember if it's this time or not this time, but other girls like, have you ever done anything in real life? So she always goes, in real life, because the idea is she does a lot of things online. In one of the later episodes that we'll talk about later, she does something really weird that I'm still trying to figure out. So, okay, so I'm like, okay, we'll all go together. They go to the house. They all go to Imogen and Tabitha's house, and they get ready together. And I love a good fashion montage personally. But I'm not gonna lie, like their outfits were not, as you say, they weren't giving. It wasn't slay. I don't know if like fashion has changed, maybe to the Gen Z girls, because this is definitely for the Gen Z girlies. Maybe it was slay to them. I didn't really like the outfits. Not like I did like Pretty Little Liars. Everybody, well, not everybody. Some of them were not that great, but like Hannah, I think I have never disliked a single outfit Hannah had on. Like that was part of it, like the fashion of it, and I feel like that's not really going to be this original sin one. I feel like the fashion's not really going to be that big of a deal, but their outfits, and they did the montage, girls, putting the makeup on and like the whole hair thing, which is fun. I always enjoy those when you have good clothes and good makeup. That's fun. I'll get to prom. They get to prom. Long story short, everybody's looking for Karen. They don't find Karen. They find Kelly. That's important because Imogen thinks it's Karen, and Kelly is like, it's Kelly. I thought you wouldn't do this by now. Blah, blah, blah. I'm actually best friends with a pair of twins, and they're fraternal twins. The girl and girl, though. Are they fraternal? Well, anyway, we've been best friends since we were 15. Wow, over 10 years. I love you girls if you're listening. Brett and Ash, love you. But we've been friends since then, and like, I don't want to say they don't look alike. They obviously do. And like, there will be some times when one will wear her hair differently than the other. Or like the other, because they wear their very different personalities. So like, one wears her hair a certain way, the other wears her hair another way. So one day, like, one might be wearing her hair the other way. So I might like look over and be like, oh, you kind of look like your sister. But like, to me, like, if you're really good friends with someone, you're going to, I don't know, like, you can put their pictures up and I would be like, that's Brittany, that's Ashley. Brittany, Ashley. You can have them do a dance, blindfold me, Brittany. Like, I don't know, it's just, they look the same, but not really. But when you're so close to someone, you see them every day for a while, because we went to high school together. You see them, and like, you talk, blah, blah. Then it's just, I don't know. So I think that's important because Imogen, because she's best friends with Karen, thinking that Kelly is Karen. Interesting. I don't know. Interesting. Just throwing it out there because I'm just trying to figure out what are they doing with this twin thing. So fast forward once again. Imogen is crowned, you guys. Imogen is crowned. So she goes up on stage, receives her crown, and you see you see Karen in the rafters with paint. What you also see is a masked figure that has been popping up all over town. And now I want to talk about this masked figure. This masked figure is obviously A. What I don't like about this is that we know that A is like real. We know that A is a person. It's obviously a man. I mean, sure, maybe it's a husky woman, but like I doubt that. That's why I think it could be the baby daddy of Imogen that somehow is connected to Karen, but it's also somehow connected to the Mona girl, the Mona-esque character that the moms had 20 years ago, because they do jump back and forth. Not a lot, but enough to be like, okay, what happened 20 years ago is kind of important. So it's just kind of like, okay, interesting. So this figure pops up throughout the entire show. In the first episode, he actually murders the janitor. And it's so interesting. I watched it and they zoomed in on the janitor, and I was like, and I'm sure this was on purpose. I was just like, the janitor, I wonder if the janitor is going to be significant. Well, he ends up murdering the janitor. So there's that. And then in the second episode, he actually pushes Karen from the rafters and she dies. So this figure, who is obviously A, is like, it's not like how we weren't sure what was going on with A, because before we thought we knew who A was, we thought and we still have that element of guessing, but it's, I don't know, it's just something different, saying a physical form of A. And this person is wearing like a creepy looking mask and like a janitor one piece type suit, gray, and it's like creepy. I think it's supposedly from like a horror movie from like the 80s. I don't know which one. Like, it looks kind of familiar. Like, I've seen it on posters or something, the outfit. But it's just kind of like, okay. It doesn't have the same effect as, like, we not knowing. Like, I knew it wasn't a ghost that was texting the girl. Like, I knew A, as someone dead, wasn't doing it. But it still was kind of like, okay, but this is weird. So it just feels different having the actual A, like, flesh and blood, not knowing who it is, but still having the flesh and blood there. So that person pushes Karen down and kills her. So the way the blood spills is similar to how the way the blood spilled 20 years ago when the Mona girl, the girl who was like Mona, she jumped. Well, now that I'm saying that out loud, I wonder if she was pushed. I don't know, but she jumped. So I think it's interesting that Karen, who is their A, Karen is the one who's murdered. Because Karen's the mean girl, but then this person pushed Karen. So I don't know. I think this is a different twist. I don't think the twist is bad. I think it's just a different way. It just also makes me think, though, like, why use Little Liars marketing? But whatever. Next episode is kind of the fallback to see like what happens after. Everybody is like distraught. Her parents the mom is like a weepy, pitiful mess. I'm sure they're trying to set her up for she's like crazy, like, I don't know. She's pitiful. She's not like sad. Like there's Kelly was sad. How Kelly was sad. How the mom was just pitiful. So Kelly says, well, maybe she jumped on purpose because of the video. So the dad, the sheriff, vows to get revenge, pretty much. The next episode is really just them trying to like pick up the pieces, in the sense that because people think that she jumped, they don't know that she was pushed. People think that she jumped, and at the end of the episode, the second episode, they receive a text that says like, if you tell people about, like, it said like 1 bully down, 5 to go. If you tell people about me, then you're going to end up like her, something along those lines. So they're like, oh my God, scared. Don't talk amongst themselves. They don't tell their parents. So long story short, the parents are all called because they're going to be the disciplinary thing, because they're admitting that they all conspired together to show the video. So they all go. And that episode isn't as exciting. There's not as much like going on. So that happens, and we see how everybody's parents react, things that are taken from them. And then, long story short, so they're all together about to be disciplined when they get told that they're not going to be disciplined anymore because Karen jumped on her. Or no, I'm sorry. Actually, what? I didn't. That's the part I watched the first episodes twice. I don't remember exactly why they didn't for the third episode. Now that I'm like thinking about it, like they absolutely should have. They should have gotten in trouble for that. Of course, there's nobody who explains why. But long story short, they don't get in trouble. So, and they're not going to jail or anything like that. So the 5 girls end up eating lunch together, and the 5 moms end up eating lunch together. And the girls find out that they learn about the girl who jumped was at the party that all of the moms were at. They learned that the girl was kind of poor and kind of homely, and like she was a troubled girl. That's all they really learn about her. Well, Imogen is like, okay, but like, what does this have to do with my mom? Like, why did my mom feel bad and guilty and everything? This is sad. I hope this is in the 3rd episode. I don't know if this is in the 3rd or the 4th, and if it's not in the 3rd episode, I'm so sorry. But I think that's the episode where they learn that like she fell or she jumped, and it was at a warehouse. It wasn't a school event. It was a warehouse. Just a random party, like a rave type thing. And they weren't really supposed to be there. So everybody fled. Nobody checked on her. Nobody called the police. So her body had been in there for like 2 days, and then someone found her. And that is really sad. So that gives you a sense of like, okay, this is a loser. Nobody really cared about her. Her parents didn't even say anything. I don't believe. So yeah, so that is pretty much wrapped up the first 3 episodes. I think it's interesting. I am very curious who the A is. I'm curious how they're going to take everything. Like I said, so I guess working on the score. So the dialogue, some of it really feels like they went on Twitter. Gen Z conversations. Print. Okay, Tabitha, you read this. Okay, you read that. Because it feels like there's like times I'm like, this is not how people talk. This is how people talk on Twitter, but like Twitter is not real life. People don't know that. People don't believe that. So, yeah. So, okay. So the dialogue sometimes is like really, like it's that. I think the camera angles. I think it's not. So what I really liked about Rosewood was like. Okay, what was really nice about the first Pretty Little Liars / Rosewood whole thing was like, it was an aspiration. It was like, if you live in Charlotte, it was like if Myers Park was a whole town. It was just really rich people, so they had really nice clothes, really nice cars, really nice lives. It doesn't surprise me they have a swim team, win their own pool, you know? Well, this one's, like it says, blue collar. It's a little bit more down to earth. And the film that they have, like, the stuff that they're using to cover the camera when they film, or, like, however the way they're laying it is a little different. And I kind of don't mind it. Like, in retrospect, when I think about, like, what they're trying to do, like, the difference between Rosewood and I think it's called Millwood or something like that, the difference is really not bad. So I think it's a check in the right direction. One of the characters has 2 moms. That's just something so you to know. And it's implied that she is gay, or at least bi, because she wants to join a club for LGBT people, and she meets this guy, and then the guy and her kind of like become a thing. So I'm kind of confused about that. So, but anyway, so that's in there. And like I said, that scene, I really hate that scene was in there, but I understand, like, from a filming perspective, I guess I understand why it was in there. So, and the plot is interesting. Like, I will say the plot keeps me. I just hate that I don't understand why it has to be called Pretty Little Liars. Why it has anything to do with the show. Like, first I want to say, before I give the score, so I'm actually, thinking about it, I don't think I'm going to give it a bad score. Oh, sorry. Maybe I should. Maybe my body's like, don't do that. I don't think I'm going to give it a bad score. I think that I don't think it's a bad necessarily show. I just hate that it's compared because it's not the same. It's not. Pretty Little Liars, the original Pretty Liars, 10 out of 10. It lost its way. It lost its way after a couple seasons. But and this doesn't feel the same. It just doesn't, it doesn't give you the same, like, okay, I have to see. I will say between the first and the second and third, I did kind of feel that. But for example, the day I'm recording this, a new episode's out. I don't feel like I have to watch that new episode right away. And every episode of Pretty Little Liars, I'm pretty sure I felt that way. I know I did, especially at the very beginning. But I don't feel that way. So, you know what? I'm going to give this a 3 because I love plot. And I think the plot is interesting. I am interested to see how the mother and how the mother's stories and their daughter's stories, how they intertwine. And I'm curious to see the backstory of Mona, because every time they peel back a layer of the Mona-like character, I'm just going to keep calling her the Mona-like character. Don't even remember her. Y'all, that's how irrelevant she is. That's how people treated her. I don't even remember her name. And they keep pulling back the layers of the Mona-like character. It's very interesting because it's just kind of like, it's interesting because there's just different aspects of it. So I'm gonna give it a 3. Like I said, the negatives, it's just some of the dialogue is just like, and then I feel like they're gonna be pushing the envelope a lot. And it's just not. I'm sorry, it's just not Pretty Little Liars. I don't know. I mean, I guess for marketing, that's why they did that. But I think they shouldn't have. Anyway, that's it. That's spoilers. You got a lot of spoilers, so if you have not seen it yet and you plan on seeing it, you kind of know everything's going to happen, all of the moments. But if you were not planning on seeing it and you want to continue to watch, because what I'll do, if it's a movie that I think looks too scary, I'll sometimes just watch a bunch of random people's reviews of it, and then I get the plot from there, and I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. Because, perfect example, the movie about that. Well, no, because I didn't do that. For example, Us. Us looked interesting, but it looked like it was going to be too scary. So what I did was I just watched people explain it, and then I figured out the plot, the twist, and everything. So it was fine. You can do that here with the spoilers, because we're going to keep doing episodes. I'm saying we, because eventually I'm going to have other people on to do episodes. We just got to figure out timing. Recording a podcast with a guest can be very difficult. So anyway, I'm going to be doing that soon. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you do, leave a review. Let me know. Have you seen it? Do you like it? Is it good? Do you think this new series is going to be good? Do you think it's going to be bad? Do you think a 3 is too high? Do you think a 3 is too low? I really haven't seen too many negatives about the show other than it's not Pretty Little Liars. So yeah, if you tell me how you feel in the comments on YouTube, comments on the Instagram, I'm going to post it on the Instagram and everything. Yeah, I guess that's it. You guys have a good rest of your day, night, evening, or whatever.